Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture, and the rogues who create them every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast and Twitch.tv/Rogue Wave Podcast. Download our podcast immediately following the live stream on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you can download podcasts. You can search Rogue Wave Podcast. That's Rogue Wave, W-A-V, or go to roguewavepodcast.com to subscribe. Tonight, I can't think of a rogue or a more roguish fella than the man we have in studio with us tonight, Mr. Pat Shand. He is talking Warrior Nun. He'll be doing the comic book adaptation of the Netflix show. It's actually the other way around, right? Netflix is the adaptation of the comic, but now they're releasing a comic to ride the wave. But we're also going to be talking The Boys versus Umbrella Academy versus Doom Patrol. I am your host, Michael Dolce, joined as always by my usual cohort in crime, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
It's another Wednesday. That's all I'm going to say. I've listened to the last 5 shows, and all I say it's Wednesday. That's all I say. You know why? Because this show is the only way I have a gauge of what day of the week.
That's COVID life.
Yes, for you. That's living with COVID, man.
Pat, how is COVID life treating you?
I'm staying safe. You know, I actually
You made it into the studio tonight, though. That's amazing.
Yes,
I'm here.
Yes.
Clearly, that is not a virtual background.
You're not social distancing, though. Yeah, could you step back a little bit? Okay, that's a little better.
I was so scared for a long time, and I mean, I always rock my mask outside, but I'll tell you this for real. I also bought those plastic face masks that kind of look like a G.I. Joe villain, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, I ended up not wearing those because But
so my son's 4 and he's into ninjas, and every time I go out, I am dressed like a ninja. So it's kind of cool. I mean, my 4-year-old self gets to,
If only we were all 4, and then we would all be enjoying ourselves. The problem is we're not.
Yeah, no, we are not.
And this
you can add a 0 to the end of
costly.
and that's where I am. But so Pat, the other thing too, because I know you haven't watched any of the shows, so we're going to just try to stall before we get to them as much as humanly possible. I have recently been rereading the comics I made as a kid, right? So from 6th grade until college, what became the Sire was actually a comic called Street Fighter. And as you can tell, that's why the name change. Capcom. And I read. I'm gearing up for the next Sire trade, and so I'm like, all right, let me go back to my roots because I literally have forgotten a lot of where I wanted to go with the story because of just not being having that big intermission between Volume 1 and 2, and then Volume 2 came out a couple years ago, and now I'm like, you know what? Let me backtrack. Hassan, I wrote myself into issue 83. I didn't realize I did this. I am actually rereading these comics that I wrote. Mind you, by the time I get into college, I'm like, damn, I'm a good writer. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know what was going to come next. They're fighting this, there's this time travel storyline, and it looks like all hope is lost. And I turn the page, and I'm like, what's going to happen? I literally do not even remember writing any of this stuff. And I'm like, oh, snap, this villain from issue 76, he didn't want to work. Street Fighter didn't want to work with him, so he sent him off. He comes back and saves everyone. I'm like, oh! And then I turn the page on issue 83, and here I am. I'm in the book. He meets me when he travels. Yeah, he meets me. I drew myself into my own storyline.
You're Tarantino.
Well, it was weird. He was traveling back in time, and then there was a gap of an issue, basically. Not a gap, but he meets me because I'm telling him that I'm graduating college and I'm going to relaunch his book as what back then was Crossfire. Yeah, I know. Pat, some meta S is going on. It was actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, man. My shit growing up was not that detailed. I wrote this book. I wrote a book for years called Wish Stones, which was just my version of Dragon Ball Z. It had my friends and I in the Dragon Ball Z roles, and my character was Vegeta but with better hair, and just looking back, I was like, wow, that plot point is the exact Frieza saga. That plot point is the exact Saiyan saga. I just, it took me a while before I was actually writing stuff that was unique at all.
Yeah, no, there was. I told Hassan this too a couple episodes ago because I'd started again from when I was in 6th grade, and there was an issue. It was a teen book called X Savages, but I named it EX Savages, not to be X-Men clones, even though they were X-Men clones.
Gotcha.
And there was a scene where I wrote, and I read it, and I'm like, wow, I was in 7th grade when I wrote this, and I was like, this is really good. And then I remembered it was really panel for panel X-Force number 7.
yeah.
But, oh, yeah, all right. So Fabian.
Yeah, that's how you do it growing up, yeah.
Fabian strikes again. I thought this would be kind of fun. I'm going to throw this out to the audience too. So if you're listening to this, if you're watching us, go to the Facebook page. Again, facebook.com/Rogue Podcast. If you have drawings or comics when you were in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, I don't care. Even homemade comics when you were in college, like me, throw it up on the Facebook page. Just do a post because anyone can post to the site or anyone can send us a message. I want to see this stuff. I want to give it to Hassan. Hassan's going to brutally critique it in Simon Cowell fashion. And we'll even we'll throw it over to Pat too. He can.
Wait, hold on. So you not only wrote, but you drew these whole comics?
Oh yeah.
80,
I drew
80 issues.
No, 125 actually. I did 100 issues of Street Fighter.
Big nerd, huh?
You know what? Into sports also though. I live a very complex life.
That
I was an athlete. I was in the varsity team. I mean, very complicated life. I dated a college girl when I was in high school. I've lived a pretty decent life.
That doesn't mean you're a hipster, though. If you're into sports, there's a lot of nerds who are into sports.
Doesn't not
mean
a hipster
anything.
though. No, definitely not a hipster.
Because there's a lot of sports people who like comic books, right? But they didn't draw 120 comic books. In which case, that does not make them a nerd.
Correct.
You are a nerd.
I drew 100 issues of Street Fighter, and then 25 some odd issues, maybe even 35 some of us, because I was a businessman.
How come you don't have a tally of how many comic books you did?
You know what? Because here's the reason. I was a businessman. I was a mogul back then, and I had an operation where my mom would photocopy.
Well, you had the mogul removed. You had an operation, and you had the mogul taken out.
I like that. I see what you did there. That was clever. That's clever. And I actually, what I ended up doing was taking, so the books that I drew for myself were these little books, right? There was like 8.5 by 14 paper folded.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't do anything with that. But then I was like, well, I can't really sell these. I can't duplicate these in any way. So then I created about 8 issues of a book called Wild Force, 2 issues of a book called Street Fighter Tales, and maybe I think and a 2-issue series called Striker on full 8.5 by 11, so that my mom at her job could photocopy them and I could sell them to my friends. And so I had a little operation. I sold them all to neighborhood kids.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean,
this doesn't surprise. I mean, I wouldn't call it pretty cool, but I mean, yeah, it was actually. It was
when I was a kid, I had a franchise called Staff, and it was Strategic Armored Fighting Force.
Oh, why are we making this book? Hassan, we're making this book. Come on.
It was terrible too. Everybody was in these really bad jumpsuits.
How old were you?
Oh my God!
Were you knocking off?
It had to be. I was knocking off G.I. Joe.
Okay.
But I didn't want to draw army fatigue, so everybody had pajamas on.
So
and all the vehicles
before PJ Masks came out.
Yes.
Great. That's like, I don't have kids. I don't even know what you're talking about. What is PJ Masks?
Oh no, that I don't know what that is. No.
Hassan doesn't know either, but he's heard me say that's my son's favorite cartoon.
Adults with no kids shouldn't know any
no, they
children.
shouldn't. I had no idea there was this.
It's a really bad sign if you do. So Pat, you and I are good.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's true. Hassan only knows about it because I've mentioned it before.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to throw this out to all the rogues out there. I want to see your homemade comics. Okay, so go to the Facebook page. Send it to us on the Facebook page, or you can email. What email should I give out? I'll do this when it's easiest, right? Go to Sire, SIRE, at MikeBooks.com, because that was my company name back then. Not the .com part, but Mike Books. MIKE Books.com. SIRE.
I think the .com.
What's that? .com.
I think the .com was spoken for. I think it's.
No. I have that. That's mine. I will forever own MikeBooks.com. Let me articulate it again, just in case they didn't get it.
Yes.
SIRE at MikeBooks.com, MIKE Books.com. Send us in, and we'll critique it on air in the next couple weeks. There you go. Nothing more rogue than doing that, right? All right.
Especially once we start getting the results. So it'll be rogue as heck.
No, but that's the thing though. And again, when I asked you what series you were knocking off, like I don't think I didn't mean that in a negative way. I think
I know exactly how you meant it, because I was
like all
totally
kids,
knocking off.
Well, Street Fighter was a knockoff of Spider-Man, and all my other comics were knockoffs of like stuff that I was reading, and I was so excited about.
I mean, that's what kids do,
Right. And then, but what it ended up evolving into was like a semi-original character.
I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles knockoff that I'm not going to tell you about over the air, because I still think it's a cool idea, but it was a total ripoff.
I drew turtle comics. Like I didn't even bother.
You didn't even try to.
I just drew. That was my first foray into comics, was drawing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics. I drew about 30 of those too. So
yeah, instead of 4 turtles, I got 8. My stories are better.
Yeah, actually, they weren't bad. I got to be honest with you. I was I don't know what happened to me, but I was pretty prolific back then. So.
Yeah, and then you grew up and you had other interests.
Then you realize you can't make money in comics.
Yeah, and then everything changes.
You're like,
you
oh
can't
crap!
Make money.
I live near New York City, and I can't. That's why people like in Ohio, like Dan Leister, can just Anyway, but I digress.
No,
all right,
man,
we call this segment.
Don't get depressing.
We call this segment Rogue Rage. It is all the rage in the pop culture world. Warner Brothers pushes Christopher Nolan's
Pat Shan cannot rage with us, though.
Oh, we got the ideal guy to rage with us right now. Warner Brothers pushes Christopher Nolan's Tenet back once more in a blow for the planned revival of the box office next month. The release of Christopher Nolan's Tenet has been delayed from July 31st to August 12th because of a surge in COVID-19 cases. Warner Brothers announced the shift on Thursday amid rapidly changing and unexpected circumstances. The Mulan as well was pushed back, and they're both going to be back in August. I think it was 2 weeks ago we talked about Wonder Woman is also pushed back. She went from August to October. They didn't even bother. Pat, are we ever going to see movies in theaters again?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not going to be the same, but for anyone who thought that this wasn't going to happen, movies getting pushed back more, no shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, those dates weren't going to happen. So this is no surprise. It should be no surprise to anyone. But
I keep saying it wasn't over. I mean, everybody's like, everything's getting better. I'm like, mm-mm.
Well, I got to be honest, and we all live in New York, right? And we all live near New York City. Hassan is in New York City. We suffered the worst of it early, and thanks to Cuomo and thanks to good leadership, we're coming out of this, right?
Sort of, maybe for now.
Well, right, for now, right? So there really was, I think, a good 2-week period where the rest of the country was opening up. We were opening up, and it did feel like, okay, we've kind of managed this and moved on. So looking forward to things like, going to the movies again was a real possibility. Whether or not you'd feel safe going to theaters, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the idea of, okay, we will be able to go on. So, to see this, it's not it's weird, right? For me, it's not as depressing to see these pushbacks anymore. It's almost like I've now, because human beings, we desensitized to this kind of stuff now. Now it's like, oh, yeah, it got pushed back. All right, I'm moving on with my life, Whereas like 3 months ago, it was like, oh, not again. Do you guys still feel that way when you hear about any of this kind of stuff, or are you kind of desensitized to this?
I mean, I didn't know that those films were coming out at those days.
You live in a bubble. In a bubble.
The thing is, I don't really care. I would find out that Wonder Woman is out, and I would go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Just not during this time, So I haven't been looking at dates. Yeah. I do like going to the movies, so I do care, but it would take a lot. It would take a really interesting and important movie to me. Like, if say a Harry Potter universe movie were coming out, or if a Marvel Studios movie were coming out, those I know when that's pushed back, right?
Yeah.
Those franchises I care enough about to be invested in the whole franchise.
Right.
But no, I mean, like, these ones I don't really care.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, the movie experience was becoming a mixed bag anyway. Like the outing in general. There were varying, conflicting levels of quality. when you go to the same theater. You know,
Right.
It's not like, oh, you go to a mixed bag of theaters and one is a good experience and one is a bad one. It was a crapshoot as to whether you'd have a good, viewing experience versus a undesirable one. Because I don't know, people are dicks to other people. People. I'm not kidding, and I'm talking about.
I know you're not. That was my Dr. Hibbard laugh.
Seeing movies like in Manhattan, in the heart of the metropolitan area, was you'd still it didn't change in the quality of people that you had to see movies with. Everybody kind of thinks their living room. Everybody acts in a certain way. So sometimes the viewing experience in and of itself was undesirable. So I was moving more and more, or say properly, I was less and less inclined to go catch movies in the theater for the theater experience, even before this started.
Yeah.
I do miss it, but I like being healthy. There's right now, I'm sorry to keep saying this, it's a life or death thing. It's a potentially deadly thing to do.
Yeah.
So I would like this all to be over as quick as possible. I see it's doing lasting damage. Everything is going to change like forever.
Right.
It's already changed forever. However, I do not even with our governor, who's been, I have to admit, has been on the ball, either with combating this or at least informing us of exactly what we're dealing with and what the situation is. I don't trust the level of response we've been having, and the level of success
it's not unified. It's not unified.
No. And you see people who are complaining about wearing masks, and it's crazy. I mean, you're gonna hate wearing a ventilator much worse. No,
there's just no downside.
It's
like really,
if people make it a cultural thing, right. I don't understand. I don't. And the only remuneration for that kind of ignorance is getting sick, and I don't wish anybody to get sick. I don't care who they are. You know. So all you could do is just sit there and shake your head while you're putting up sandbags in your own bunker to block to block the rest of the world from getting into your personal space. It's a crazy experience. It really is.
The good news is you probably, well, actually, no, wait. You probably have too many people in your personal space as it is on a normal day, right? Or do you have no one goes near you? What? I can't. I don't
really. No, I don't have. I mean, I go out from time to time with a mask on, but
no. I meant pre-COVID.
Oh, too many people in my Well, there's too many people. Period. Period. If I leave my apartment and I run into one person on the way to the lobby, I've run into too many people. As far as I'm concerned. Oh man! Animals everywhere.
On a good note, even though theaters are closing, production on TV has actually started. On TV and movies has commenced, and recently it was just announced The Boys season 2 will be debuting in September, and Amazon releases the first 3 minutes of season 2. Earlier today, that was yesterday, the streaming service announced, or maybe it was Monday, The Boys would return for its second season in September, with episodes set to roll out weekly rather than dropping all at once. We'll talk about that in a second. The announcement came during a virtual event for the show, which featured the cast, along with executive producer Eric Kripke. And to cap it all off, Amazon showed off the bloody beginning of the upcoming new season. Now, I know, Pat, you haven't even seen season 1 yet. You should. It's awesome. No. It's on Amazon. Hassan, are you super excited for Boys season 2?
No? I didn't like the first season really that much.
Oh, I loved it.
It's you know what? It's a kind of a pet peeve I have with the writer, with the writer of the original material.
Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
Okay.
His basic go-to shtick, not to put it, because his writing is good. His writing is very solid, but his go-to shtick is everybody's a dick. And
true.
So once you start off with everybody being a dick, there's really not anywhere you can kind of raise to or lower to. So everybody's got the same timbre, everybody's got the same kind of, execution or attack of dialogue. And after a while, you're like, all right, so all you guys are dicks. I'm not interested. You know, like my interest kind of falls apart. Like even when your heroes are even dicks. Now the main hero of the boys started off as like this bright-eyed, you know, innocent, and his girlfriend got heinously killed. That's not a spoiler. That happens in the first like. It
happens literally in the first 5 minutes, and the season one's been out for a while.
Yeah. What? So you're saying that
that's on them. That's on them.
Oh no! I mean, I've known about that shit since the comic. Bing. You know?
Yeah.
That's his second Bing, by the way. You
I know. We missed the Bing, but then he always gets nervous. He's like, wait, can I not curse? And
what's Bing?
I'm like, you can, but then you get binged.
What's Bing?
You're swearing.
Say a curse word.
Oh, so we're in third grade now.
See? Yeah. This is not your show.
This
is not your show, Pat. How many times have you been on this show? How many times?
Hey, everyone.
How many times?
Welcome to the Pat.
You're practically the third host. How do you not know this rule?
Actually, what I'll say is this.
The funny thing is, he's in amazement every time we do it.
I know. Every time it happens.
What I want to do right now is I want to thank Hassan for giving me my credit here. Because last time I was on, we were just talking some bullshit. Oh, Pat, have you been on 3 episodes? Have you been on 2 episodes? Bitch, I've been on 16.
It wasn't 16. I mean, it was like 9 though. You were right. It was a lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot.
You know,
yeah. Before we were Rogue Wave, we were Secrets of the Sire.
But you still don't understand the rules, though. You still don't get. You still don't get how it works.
I know that actually doesn't help your case.
Yeah, it doesn't. It makes it worse. How many times do we have to send you the manual? I know it still says Secrets of the Sire on the manual, so we're gonna have to. We'll send you an updated one.
There we
go. Send you a new one.
Yeah, exactly.
So let me tell you. Getting back to the boys for a second. I was not only super psyched to hear season 2 was coming out. I was super psyched to hear that they're doing it weekly, like the Mandalorian did, which I think is
don't
the
like that.
best thing you can possibly
do. That,
do.
though, you know,
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Are you a binge?
Because we're already
do you binge watch? What are you binge watching right now?
Right now, what
or in like the last I don't know, 2 months.
Pat doesn't even have a TV.
No.
Pat's just smoking weed and like fucking, popping on bongos.
Yeah.
My wife Amy and I are watching a show called Siren on Hulu. Love that
one show. They're watching one show. That tells you.
Yeah,
they're casual television watchers.
Well, he's probably working his son.
I used to be very intense. I used to be very intense. I used to watch television. I mean, I would buy the DVD box sets, and that's how I would try shows out.
Sure.
I was binging back before binging was a thing, dude.
Actually, you know what's really funny? The experience of popping a DVD in is more palatable to me than going onto a streaming service. There should be no difference, but for some reason there mentally was, because I used to be able to binge shows like 24, like seasons, and in a weekend do it, no problem. And now I find it so hard to just even turn on like Netflix to want to binge, because I feel like because I'm staring at like libraries of content, it just feels like so overwhelming to pick one and to binge through it versus like going to like a store when you used to buy. And this is for all the kids out there. Yeah, there were stores.
Total first worlder complaint right now.
Oh,
welcome to the first world.
Oh my!
We got too much to watch. Everything is too much. Everything is too much.
I resemble that. I resemble that.
Listen. Here's the problem. Everything that they said was good about all this stuff, they're taking away from us. Everything that they said was everything that they got us off of cable to join them in the streaming extravaganza. And they're backpedaling on like tremendously. First of all,
to be fair,
no. I'm not done.
Go ahead.
First of all, we used to have shows. Your average show, we used to get 26 episodes per year. 26.
Or 24.
Now they're,
Or 24 to 26.
Doesn't matter. In the 20s.
You're right.
Now they've broken it down to 13 at the most. Now you're lucky if you get 13, because most of these things are doing 8 or 7 now. So they've cut the 13 in half. Okay? So now the only thing that was going for them is that, okay, well, at least they dropped the entire 7-hour movie, 8-hour movie, 13-hour movie in a sitting, and I can watch it at my leisure. But no, now they want you to come back every week. So everything that they said was better than cable, everything they told us to cut the cable for, they're completely backpedaling on.
Look,
we're getting less the content. we're getting less the content for waiting longer to get less, and then they're still gonna parse it out because they want us to keep coming back to hit the feed bar.
There is something to be said though. And Pat, did you watch Buffy when it was on TV, or did you binge that too?
After all that, you have like no response to any of all that other stuff.
I'm asking him a question before I do my response. I'm guaranteeing
that you're only going to get to.
I know Pat is a big fan of Buffy, so I wanted to ask: did you used to watch Buffy when it was on TV, or did you binge watch Buffy as well?
I watched it weekly until
okay.
My karate date changed, okay?
Okay.
And that threw a wrench into my schedule, okay? And I had to switch to watching it years later as an adult on DVD.
Okay.
And I will say
Pat,
but the weekly experience.
When you look at Pat, you think Karate Man. You do.
But there's something different about it. There's something that allows you to digest the material without rushing to the next. There's also something that it does. It absolutely does.
No, pace yourself. You could do it yourself.
Yep.
You could do it. This was the sales point. It's like if they sold you a house and they told you this house is secluded out in the middle of in the middle of a wonderful hamlet, and it's wonderful. It's far away from the exploits and the hustle and the bustle of the city. And then a year later, they're starting to build skyscrapers in your backyard. Everything they sold it to you for was BS.
No,
everything they sold it to you for.
You have people on social media. You have to then disrupt another aspect of your life.
You don't have to
actually watch
The
Boys.
God.
Let's say all 8 episodes of The Boys in 8 weeks or 10 episodes, whatever it was, in 10 weeks. People already are talking about it on social media before you've seen anything. So you got to avoid that. So you have to make another something. You have to disrupt your life further. Then
you disrupt your life. My God,
you can't. I mean, at that point,
you're getting less for more. That's the problem. You keep looking at it as as an inconvenience to your social jet setting.
There's something about looking forward to something every week. There's something
you can do that. You can make your own choice to do that. You shouldn't have it.
You can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can.
That's like sitting there saying like, here's this chocolate cake. Eat it one slice at a time and eat it.
Yeah, that's how normal people go about eating chocolate cake, by the way.
Yeah, if you have the choice, then you do what you prefer. But hold on. When you put out 1 episode per week, you know what that is?
That's good for the news cycle.
No. That's elder abuse, okay? Because that's elder abuse. Because what happens is this. I watch TV with my mom. Say we're watching a 22-episode season, 1 episode every week. I go there, visit her, Mother and Son Day. Mm-hmm. By episode 22, if the character from episode 3 comes back, do you know what she asks? Who's that?
Let me ask you a question, though.
It's been too long.
Let me ask you a question. You're talking about personal choice. Can't you choose to wait until all the episodes come out and then binge it? What's the difference?
The difference is that they're pretending that the binge mode isn't what everyone wants. It's very few
that was the whole selling point.
That was Netflix's business model.
Yeah, and everybody's basing their model off of Netflix. That's why everyone wants a streaming service.
No one's allowed to change.
Like HBO Max makes no sense. We are already paying. HBO is technically already a streaming service. Yes. So now they've opened their own streaming service. While it's like Netflix opening Netflix Plus, which is basically the same thing. It's the same thing. They're not offering anything different.
Yes.
Okay? The only thing you had is like kind of an on-demand aspect to it. That's the only thing that made it a better thing. Because if you look at it now, if you're going to start giving us stuff weekly, then you're also taking things away. We don't have a vast catalog of movies that are going to be there forever, right? So you're gonna pick and choose when we can or can't see things. You're going to you parse it out.
Why can't they have a vast catalog? This is the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. There is no reason Netflix should be taking on or off.
This is what I'm saying. Like they're curtailing everything that they said was a plus about having a streaming service in the first place. Now they got everybody hooked on the drug. Now you find out that drug causes cancer.
I like the build up. I like the week to week digestion.
That's fine, but I always say, do not say it as though it is a foregone conclusion, because it's not.
No, I'm saying for
a lot of people disagree. You never say, you never specify it as I like. Now you did, because you're losing the argument.
You tell us what you think. You let us know. Comment in the Facebook feed. I'll tell you why you're wrong. And when we come back, the state of superhero streaming, we've got 3 returning shows, one that's already came back, and we put them against each other, and the winner will probably be lost when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, talking comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast. Go to RogueWavePodcast.com to subscribe to the podcast, available immediately after. All right. We talked about, well, first of all, I want to properly introduce our guest, because this is now the Rogue Wave Podcast. We used to do a podcast before this, and Pat Chan was on it very, very often. But Pat Chan is a writer extraordinaire. You are best known for your work at Zenescope. You are best known for your creative independent stuff, Destiny New York, Gangsta Ass Barista, all kinds of awesome stuff that you do with the Space Between Entertainment, which is your company. But the reason why I wanted to have you on was, again, kind of in this streaming mold, because this is all we have right now is superhero streaming. You are penning the comic adaptation to a new Netflix show, which is actually the adaptation of an indie comic that's been going on since '95. Did you guys all follow that? The show is called Warrior Nun. It's going to be on Netflix July 2nd. We have the creator coming on in an upcoming episode as well, too. We have an interview with him. We're going to put him on. But now we get the guy who's writing the comic book adaptation of Warrior Nun, which, again, is coming to Netflix. So, Pat, talk to us about the experience. You guys are doing a Kickstarter, or you did a Kickstarter? How did that work?
Yeah, Avatar Press is doing the Kickstarter for the graphic novel. These single issues came out last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called Warrior Nun Dora, and it is it's a reboot of the comic made for, we say all ages, but it's pretty much a young adult to adult comic. It's set in the 90s. It's very much a love letter to the 90s, like the same way that Stranger Things is to the 80s. So it's sort of like the ethos of like a Buffy meets Daria.
When I saw you were writing this particular comic, I was like, oh, this is like right up your alley, because you're a big Joss Whedon, big Buffy fan. So it seems the way I've read it, I look at it like Buffy meets the Catholic Church, right? Like, because it's basically like a nun who is chosen, and that kind of, oh, look at you. If you're listening to this, you can't, but he just made the sign of the cross to all our listeners out there. It's very exciting. But yeah, that's the way I kind of looked at it. So I felt like this was right up your alley.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's been fun to write, and I actually just saw the trailer for the series, because the series
talked about it last week.
Yeah, it's awesome. Very modern. It's very it's very now, and I like that, because I saw when I got the writing job, I was shown some older Warrior Nun stuff, and I was shown I'm not sure even how much I could talk about this, but there was a pitch tape for what the show could be to Netflix. So I had that idea, and the trailer is very different. The trailer is it's very along the lines of a show that I would watch. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm super excited for that, and I think that it very much matches the tone of what I did in Warrior Nun Dora, even though there's separate eras and separate continuities. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for Zenescope, you wrote Van Helsing too, right? And it ended up, being on Sci-Fi Network. Yeah,
I've never seen an episode of Van Helsing, but I'm aware that it's the show in name alone, in that they even changed the main character's name. So I don't know how much they're involved, but it's cool to see that they have, based on the Van Helsing comics by Zenescope in the credits, Ralph and Joe are producers on the show, and that's great. But I haven't been intrigued because I know that it would be as if I'm watching a show that is just one for fun instead of I did this, because the truth is I didn't. It's
Well, you
it's
never
them.
know. I mean, it's every show is infamous for mining the comic material in one way, shape, or form. So it's very possible.
Maybe.
So that's pretty cool, though. I mean, it's cool to be able to do that. So you're actually kind of doing the reverse right now. You're now writing, about a show that's going to be on TV. It's kind of,
No. I mean, it's not. I
know it's not. No, I know it's not directly connected, but I mean, it's kind of cool that you can. If someone says like, "Oh, Warrior Nun, I saw that. Oh, I'm writing the comic adaptation."
Oh, right, yeah.
Basically, it makes you look kind of cool.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, it's all cool now. There you go.
There's a little kiss for you there. Thank you.
All right, we were talking streaming earlier. The state of superhero streaming. We were talking. The Boys is coming back. Umbrella Academy will be out at the end of July 31st. This is July 1st, so I guess the end of this month. And Doom Patrol Season 2 just came back. Now, last week we were on an odyssey because I didn't know if I could actually get HBO Max or if I had to pay extra to get it. Turns out I don't. Turns out because I pay for HBO. I get HBO Max as well, too. It's very
really?
exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, I didn't know that because I've been kind of annoyed that I got the notice that HBO Go is going to be done.
Yeah, HBO Go's gone, and it's basically HBO Max, which stinks because I liked HBO Go. It was pretty cool, but it's basically HBO Max is supposedly the same thing. So
that's cool. Okay.
But you get the original content as well, too. That was on the DCEU streaming service, which I was never going to pay for, especially being a Marvel guy growing up. Like, this is not happening. So
Pat's done with the show.
He's gone. He's gone. and not only is he gone, but like...
And he vanished into the studio.
I know. I don't know. That is clearly not a virtual background. He literally just phased out.
He's destroying the illusion.
He brought his cat.
She's causing trouble.
Pets are not allowed on the show. How many times do we have to give you these rules?
She's causing trouble, man. She was just perched on the balcony, and it's not... I don't like that.
This is show business, man. We wouldn't have known there was trouble until you broke to go deal with the trouble.
Had to do it,
No, you got to keep up the illusion.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's interesting.
This is unacceptable.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be kind of cool, especially bringing Pat on, who has no knowledge of this. Now, Warrior Nun actually fits into this as well too, because but it's not out yet, and we're going to do a whole Warrior Nun review in a couple weeks, and we have Simon coming on to talk about the show itself.
It's none of our business.
But I thought it'd be kind of cool to pit these against each other. And I threw this up on Facebook, right? Umbrella Academy versus Doom Patrol versus The Boys. Pick one. Okay? Pick one that you would pick above all others. Now, Fabian Nissier is a frequent guest of the show. Said, why do I have to pick one? Why does Mike feel to be divisive?
Because he remembers a world before binary choices. Or trinary choices.
Trinary choices here. I actually was thinking, is the word trinary? I'm not sure. But, but that's what makes this so interesting. And quite frankly, I did not get a consensus on Facebook. No one gave me like one versus, like everyone had a different reason for liking one of the three, and it was almost like if you were doing a poll, I mean, it would almost be 33%, 33%, 33%, 1% undecided. That was essentially, it was almost even.
Right.
I'll save Pat's answer for last because he hasn't seen any of this. Hassan, pick one and tell me why.
I would say it would. Okay, what's the question? Let's clarify the question.
Umbrella Academy versus Doom Patrol versus.
For what
Boys.
though? Versus in what? Just in what's the best? What I enjoyed the most? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, you got to pick one. You can only watch one series.
I would pick Doom Patrol.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Off air, you were just saying you didn't like Doom Patrol.
I didn't.
So you didn't like the Boys. You didn't like Doom Patrol. Did you like Umbrella Academy? You didn't like any? Oh, okay.
No.
All right.
But I'll explain why. I think Umbrella Academy had like the best, kind of the best premise.
Yeah.
The most interesting premise. It just kept tripping over what it wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because it was too caught up in exploring the different nuances of what all these various characters were about, and the interesting aspects of their powers.
Yeah.
That they didn't really spend a lot of time building characters.
Yeah.
So, once it all started to come to a head towards the end of the season, without any spoilers, you knew just because you watched basically, like, I think it was 10 or 13 episodes.
Yeah.
because you watched 10 or 13 episodes, you knew who the characters were by name, but you didn't really know who the characters were. There was a lot of intrigue in the fact that these kids had been pretty much kidnapped, as the premise goes, not a spoiler, pretty much kidnapped, and through various circumstances, kind of molded or manipulated into being a superhero team, for mysterious reasons by their quote unquote stepfather, or their adopted father. And it doesn't really go into the premise of that all too much. It just kind of gets caught up in how their lives have kind of gone awry since they grew up and realized that they had been manipulated into.
Right.
So it just kind of gets bogged down a lot. Like I said about the boys, basically the aspect of the boys is that what if the Justice League were really a bunch of bastards? A corporate sponsored bunch of bastards. I don't know if I should
bing that or not. We'll allow
no,
bastards.
Bastards
is no bing.
No. And
Pat, you got to be on this bing though. This is now that you know about the bing again. Yeah, you have to be on the bing. Go ahead.
So hold on. Say if I say the word asshole, right?
Yeah. No, with the whole bing.
So do you replace the whole with the word with a sound?
No, we just
saying bing.
Oh,
okay.
We just bing it.
Got you.
I'm not actually replacing anything. I mean, I don't do any editing.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very rogue to.
No, no. We just like to embarrass our guests.
Gotcha.
And ourselves. All right. So Hassan, continue.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
Bastards. You were saying bastards, and we were not going to bing the bastards.
Justice League.
Boys,
Justice League were a bunch of bastards. The problem is that Justice League were a bunch of bastards. I mean, the boys,
right,
were depicted as bastards from the beginning. Right. They were really into corporate sponsoring, and they had a public image that was
that was
much
clean.
much more virtuous than their actual image.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a mystery that the show was going to unravel. They pretty much gave away the ghost by showing them all as bastards, right?
Right.
So when you have our heroes who kind of realize, hey, these guys are bastards.
I think that's like the hook of the show, though. I mean, showing the hook in the first episode is not a bad thing. I mean, it got me more interested in the show. Otherwise, it was just a bunch of superheroes. I was like, I don't need to see this. I don't know. That's the way I felt about it.
Okay.
I thought that was, And now what? So, but you picked Doom Patrol out of all three. Why did you pick Doom Patrol out of all three?
Because it was the better done of the all three. I'm not going to try to explain it because you're just going to.
I love the production quality on Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol was the one out of the three here that I got to tell you. I look.
You didn't even watch the other two. Let's admit it.
No, I did.
You watched the Umbrella Academy.
I enjoyed, but it was my least favorite out of all three of them.
Why?
So I'll actually say as to why I was.
Because the problem with Doom Patrol is that once you figure out that the heroes are bastards, and that the superheroes are bastards, and the show heroes are trying to expose them as bastards, but the show heroes,
this boys you're talking
kind of are bastards themselves,
right?
Then where are we going? What is the purpose? What's the peril? Why are we? I
actually loved the main character. Character to me is
everybody in the universe are bastards, and why do we need to expose anybody as being a bastard? You understand what there's no danger. There's no danger because everybody's in the same boat. They did have a
sinister agenda. I mean, there was definitely
doesn't really explain the agenda though. It was more of
they had a goal.
It was more of a nationalism kind of thing. Right? Because they were starting to be used in military.
Right, they wanted to get the military contract. They wanted to be a military, and they wanted to be able to do their own thing from a military standpoint.
Yeah, and then there's this weird drug that makes people into superheroes, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. But it's like, okay, so after we get over the shock value of seeing a pseudo-Superman, commit murder, what's left?
Pat disagrees with you 100%.
Of course you do.
Doom Patrol for me was the most surprising, the most pleasantly surprising, and I think it's the production value.
Are you supposed to disagree with me, or are you just supposed to get my take and then give your take?
Yeah, I'm just giving you. Because every time, because let's be realistic here. Let's be honest. Every time I disagree with you, and you go, okay, That's your opinion. That's your response.
Yeah, because
every
your
single
opinion
week.
sucks.
So you don't actually debate me. You give up on the debate. You don't.
Why would I
listen.
debate
You don't even listen to what I'm saying. So why should I bother listening to what you're saying?
I don't, because you never listen to me. You
do listen to you.
You stop me in the middle of my rant to talk about binging people.
You shut down as soon as I say I disagree with you. You go, okay, that's fine.
Well, how am I going to... You want me to convince you that you're wrong?
I want you to
Is that
try.
what you want me to try? Why? What do I get for it?
Pat's been on this show.
Pat knows there are no prizes. What's the prize?
He doesn't get the bing, but he gets the show.
Pat's not going to argue with you. I guarantee Pat wouldn't argue with you if you disagree with him. Huh?
He hasn't seen any of the shows yet.
And Pat likes Lost, so I don't even know why we're including him in it. Lost sucks. There you go. See, I didn't go, okay.
Yeah, because he's your guest. That's why. This is exactly what happens in any relationship.
I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight with the guest.
You poop on your significant other, but you're nicer to the people that are.
You are not my significant other. Let's clear that up.
I see you pretty regularly, my man. you're
yeah. Actually, this is the most meaningful relationship I've had.
We got some deep S going on now.
Yes.
I avoid the bing. Go ahead, Pat.
Poor Pat's like.
Wait.
I
mean,
well, he kept getting up and leaving anyways. He was
I know. So okay, for his cat. For his cat.
See, yeah,
we know where you're feeling.
Who he also brought to the studio.
Yeah,
yes. Why did you bring your cat to the studio?
No, yeah, she's just hungry, man. You know,
she's over this COVID thing. That's why. when
you wake up earlier than a human is supposed to, the cats think that it's time for breakfast. You know.
I got you.
Why? Hold on. Wait a second.
Keeping in mind, it's nighttime right now, so I don't know.
Why do you think? Yeah, well, that's already Pat's here to destroy all illusions. That's what he's here for.
Yeah,
he's just gonna walk through the facades and illusions and everything.
Yes.
Why is it? How is The Boys interesting in any respect? After you already know what the premise is from episode 1.
So first of all, the premise itself kept me involved.
Why?
But I actually like the journey of the kid who's the main guy. He's the only one who is not a jerk to begin with. In fact, he's a wide-eyed kid who only saw the public perception. And then slowly through the course of, I mean, obviously not slowly when his girlfriend's killed immediately, but once his girlfriend's killed immediately, he demands justice. And then he kind of goes down this rabbit hole. So to me, the rabbit hole of him was actually extremely interesting. And the breakdowns of conventional superhero conventions, sorry to repeat it, is what got me interested. And then it was like, okay, well, what's their agenda? What's that? I don't know what that is. Did he just choke on a fur ball?
Oh, no. I have this disease where if a conversation gets too nerdy, right, I turn into a prehistoric bird.
Oh. I didn't know that. I don't know how to respond to that.
There is no response to that. That's the dumbest freaking thing I've ever heard of.
All right, so Pat, tell us why Lost is the best out of all three of these.
No, I mean...
Mute him. Mute him as he's talking. And don't tell him he's muted.
I like to troll you guys a little bit, you know. I like to troll you guys. I know that we've...
a little bit.
We've had...
He also likes to not talk into his microphone. He just likes to...
No, he doesn't. He doesn't do that.
Is this good?
Your P's are muzzled.
We've had on this podcast, or on this podcast's predecessor, right?
Yes.
We've had conversations about Lost and 6 Feet Under that have...
2 great shows. Great shows.
Yes. One great show, and another sucked.
You know what? I will take that, because 6 Feet Under means so much to me that if you are going to insult Lost, one of the best shows of all time, I can let it pass.
6 Feet Under has one of the greatest endings to a series of all time.
Actually, it also has that ending.
Awful season 3 and 4 and most of 5. No, actually, no. Season 3 was amazing. So, season 4 and 5. It went off it jumped the shark. It went off the rails.
No,
it rebounded with an amazing finale.
Hell?
No,
an amazing series finale.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's the only time you're going to see Michael C. Hall not killing people, only burying people.
True.
Everybody that Dexter killed would go to the Fisher house to be buried, and nobody ever put that connection together.
It's true, actually.
Yeah, I love that show. I mean, so much so that it's one of those shows where I hesitate to see any of the actors in any other role. Like, I haven't seen Dexter because I want him to be David to me. You know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's
So-
very immature, you know.
Why don't I do this, right? Let's pull this all full circle before we get to the next segment here. Pat, based off of Hassan and my going back and forth and him harumping me, which one of the three that we described would you want to see more?
You said him. What are you?
Harumping.
Harumping. Okay,
Harum.
got you.
But you have to.
Low ball, man. I don't know how I ended up here.
Yeah.
I have no idea how I ended up here.
All right, so
Which one of the three, based on what we just described, would you pick that you would actually go and binge? Now, we didn't really go into Doom Patrol too much. You just thought it was the best of the three, I guess, but you didn't like it either.
It was just a straightforward premise, as opposed to this kind of in-depth, twisty, late 2000s kind of, 2010s kind of milieu, which starts to make me
it's
crazy.
the Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, so everything is indeed, whatever, Pat. Your opinion means nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, hold on.
You get me?
What if, right? Dude,
no.
What if
I'm not digesting this.
No. Listen.
Nope.
What if I was going to support your ideas entirely?
You cawed like a bird, man. I don't know how.
You did lose credibility by doing that.
No, that's
your consecutive streak is now over.
Yeah.
You shouldn't shame me for my condition, okay?
You should shame. Yes.
I can't help it.
We're not shaming you for your conviction. We're shaming you for your
listen, if you have a condition, if you have that kind of condition, you have to come with a doctor's note, and you can't just caw in the middle of a conference without some kind of explanation.
Yeah. Right here. Right here.
Somehow it's blending into the studio.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's perfect. That is not a virtual background.
The studio.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
The studio censored
it. Right here. It's right here. Oh, wait.
Still doing it.
It's right here.
There we go.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wait. Is that a Marvel novel written by your boy?
Oh, boy.
I thought I was picking up
my God.
I only caw when people are.
This used to be a good show, man. It used to be a quality show. We used to have quality discussions.
Right. Real quick, pick a streaming service, Pat. Pick a streaming show. State of Superheroes.
I will. I just want to apologize first. I didn't mean to flex on you guys. I thought I was picking up a doctor's note. I was instead picking up my various successes. Okay.
All right, comment in the feed, folks. We're moving on. I'll give. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We are big fanboys of comics and graphic novels, even if they've been written by Pat Shand. And every week we like to bring you the inside info on the source material that will make its way onto the large and small screen. We call this segment Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Like that?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. All right, before we get into our Spin the Rack segment, Pat, tell everyone where they can find your stuff. This is the time you can stuff.
Yeah, do it now.
It's at Pat Shand. You can find me on all social media.
Shard.
Not Pat Shard. I just want to give a shout out to Bleeding Cool. They spelled my name, Pat Shard. The article was written by Dick. That's Rich Johnson. Yeah, I was just saying before, you have to have some balls to be a guy named Rich Johnston to spell someone's name wrong.
You're publicly calling somebody out.
Bro, one letter off.
You are literally coming through the screen too.
Johnson.
It's really
stop coming through the screen. You're scaring us.
Just one letter off, and you're Rich Johnson. That's Dick. Okay, so next time, put some respect on my name. Okay, dude.
The good thing is he doesn't listen to this podcast, so we're in good shape.
Well, for now.
We're in good shape. Although, ironically, Avatar does publish Bleeding Cool. Just connected. All right. At Pat Shand on Instagram.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Do your promotional stuff.
It's all social media. Just search my name, Pat Shand. That's my handle everywhere. My YouTube is my company, Space Between. I have a podcast I do every week.
Which we'll be on as I keep inviting myself on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I won't be on.
You can come.
No, I don't want to. I have no interest.
I love going on other people's podcasts because then I don't have to do any kind of ringmaster here. I just kind of All right.
You're a ringmaster.
I got this story. This is our Spin the Racks for this week. I got this story, and I thought it was perfect for having you on, Pat. Comic-Con still going on in Florida this summer. This is from Bleeding Cool. Florida is a state with coronavirus case spiking, but also
exploding.
One of the more opened up states in the U.S. and happy to run a comic book and pop culture convention. Certainly more than anyone else right now. Blogger Tom Kroom has been embedded and reporting to his readers about the kind of risks being taken, and we have highlighted his reports before. And last weekend, he went to Hero Hype in Tampa as the previously scheduled Orlando Anime Day had a last-minute cancellation. The website of Hero Hype Tampa stated, everyone is required to wear a mask at this time. Bring your own gloves and hand sanitizer. Temperature check each time you enter the event. Keep social distance. All backpacks, purses, bags must be clear to avoid any contact. Can we officially, and Pat, you went on record saying no conventions this year. Florida said, we're gonna do it anyway. Did you account for Florida when you lost your $1 million bet to me?
No. See, I said there's no chance in the world a huge con like New York Comic Con would happen. Okay. Because
you said no cons. I bet you $1 million.
Caveat.
All right. Well, what I'll say is
specific.
To be fair, I went back to you and only bet $1, so it's okay. You owe me $1.
There's no taking.
It's a lot of money these days.
It's true. There's no way to prevent, because these cons are ran, the smaller ones are ran by guys, just like one or two guys.
Right.
So there's no taking into account,
there's no security. There's no way.
Yeah, no.
And Pat, you're absolutely right. Michael and I pretty much, we didn't run conventions, but we pretty much worked conventions for a decade for Wizard. Right. And there is no way. I mean, there's no way you could check there's no way they're going to be able to check everybody's temperature at the door. There's no way if someone has a high temperature, they're going to be able to bar them from getting in. Those fans are not agreeable people at their best. They especially when they feel like they're being turned away or persecuted or
I disagree,
whatever.
But let me throw a different scenario at you, Hassan. That actually corroborates what you're saying.
How can you disagree? I didn't even finish my thought. But okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You can funnel the line, because I've seen this. You can funnel the line so that you do have to get checked. It's one at a time. I mean, I see it in C2E2, and this is just a security check, right? Not a temperature check. This is before COVID. They can funnel it down so you are being checked one at a time. So that can definitely happen. I think the nerd raging thing, yes, I agree with you. Although maybe in a pandemic they have different, maybe they'll behave differently. I don't know. I'm not saying yes or no.
I'm just saying yes or no. Attention to the news.
But here's my one scenario where I think it does throw into loop. You have the people doing the temperature check, right? They're raising the thermometers. I mean, the safety of the people doing the temperature check to me is the one area that I don't see how you can. And then
mitigate. They spread it.
Right. Well, no, but that's the part.
So then they go to the green room or whatever, and then
there's a 6-foot distancing, but it's still like you still have to kind of get close enough.
That's the
person's
one
not
area?
Wearing a mask. I mean, that's I think where the one crink in the
potentially there's going to be thousands of people, right? In potential, right? There's going to be thousands of people in an enclosed space huddled together. There's no way they're going to social distance. There's no way. There's no way they're going to successfully be able to social distance.
Yeah.
And the only way to actually successfully do something like that is to limit the amount of people on the auditorium,
right,
per hour. And that's going to cut into the dealer money. So they're going to get a lot of complaints from the dealers, right? They're going to get a lot of complaints because the entire thing is it's a commercial enterprise. The entire thing is commerce. So you're going to basically social distancing, wearing masks, and trying to be safe is antithetical to making money the way in our capitalist society. So the two are not gonna work out. And given the choice between the two, everyone's going to decide to make money over being safe. So it's going to be it's going to be a super, what do they call that, a super infection or something like a super hotspot. That's exactly what it's going to be. Like
viral
an incubator.
load. Actually, is the
that's
term.
not
viral.
that's terrible.
What?
No, that is an actual.
It's going to be a viral explosion, whatever it is.
That's why
I don't like viral.
That one is
load.
actually not the the viral load. Yes, the viral.
I don't like that.
It
sounds terrible.
I know, but I say it because it's the actual terminology. It's pretty
I thought
impressive.
it was a viral climax.
You see, Pat doesn't even do subtly. You know, like
no, Pat's not.
No, he doesn't. He's just like a bomb. You just drop him in the, and he'll just chirp and explode right in front of you. All right, so
What do you mean?
All right, so Pat, considering I've already won the bet,
confused.
I'll give you an out here.
Didn't win the bet.
It's all going to come down to Tampa Bay Comic-Con, which is a bigger show scheduled for the 14th of July.
Dude,
that's if that goes, you owe me $1.
No.
That's a lot of money, Pat.
That's
don't agree.
Florida, dude. That's Florida.
That's not in the United States. You understand? You see, Mike, it's not in the U.S. So obviously, Florida is another dimension, and nobody knows it.
Every murderer lives in Florida. Okay. If I was invited to that convention, you know what I would say?
Bing.
Stupid! I'm not going to let you get the chance.
Because what they're trying to do, right? What they're trying to do.
He brought his own sound effects to the studio.
Kill me, right? They're trying to kill me. Okay. There's
to make a buck.
There's no reason that they should be having that convention now. If they're being altruistic and they think that, it's time to open up, guess what? You're dumb. Okay, you're just dumb. If you think that you can go there,
you really need the money.
No,
well that's the thing. Florida is exploding now.
For money.
I know.
Like there's like 9,000 cases a day. You know.
I know.
So,
Florida was doing so well at one point that
they were never doing well. It hadn't gotten to them yet.
No, I get that. I get that. But I'm saying they were doing so well in the perception of how they were doing that's where they invited all the NBA teams to go and restart the season because it was like, well, Florida's safe, and then now obviously it's not. So I mean, we'll see.
No place is safe because there's a pandemic. Like these people who do not understand that there is literally an infectious disease out there that occasionally seriously kills people. And people are acting like, nah, you know what? It's a hoax, or it's only in this region, so we're safe.
Well,
and it was once only in China. It got all the way to here. So yes, it could get from New York to Florida. It's not hard.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree more. And if you go into the convention because you need money, you're a dumb guy. Because what are you
man.
going to do with
hot take, Pat. That's just not. He's not. He's leaving no bodies on his no man standing on the battlefield.
The people who run the convention, you're dumb.
I want my $1.
You know,
I want my $2.
The views expressed by Pat Shan do not reflect the views of us on Rogue Wave.
Pat, tell everyone where they can find you again, so they can complain to you directly or agree with you. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people agreeing with you as well. So
any celebrity, any of my comic book peers, if you're going there,
he's not gonna.
You know,
he's not gonna stop.
You can find me at Pat Shand.
I want to thank you for joining us. Next week we go deeper dive, Justice San and I, into Doom Patrol. Maybe we'll have a special guest.
We just fired Pat.
Maybe we'll have a special guest. Pat was our special guest. I announced big special guest, secret guest. You were it. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll be back next week, you guys.
No, you won't.
In the Rogue Pat Shand podcast. And follow all three of us at Pat Shand. And thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
That's the best.
Rogue Wave.